Hey, what's up, nature enthusiasts? Jason here with another episode. It's been a couple minutes since I've done an episode because it's been a fucking crazy week, man. Aiden ended up getting COVID. I don't have COVID. I tested negative, so that's good news. But it's also been 100 fucking degrees outside, 105. Today's actually a little bit of a cooler day. It's only 94 degrees according to my car, but the car's always a little off, so maybe like 95, 96 outside. Anyways, my blower also went out in my fucking car, so I had to, the transistor gets too hot, so the air conditioner wasn't working, so it's just brutal to fucking go outside and try to do anything. Even just driving was hot as shit. But it rained a little bit yesterday, so a little bit of humidity in the air, not much, but enough to cool it off a little bit, at least 10 degrees cooler than it was fucking yesterday. You know what I mean? And a little bit cloudier and stuff like that, so I can hang and, you know, knock on wood, but the air conditioner is working in my car, at least right now. They should have the parts in by tomorrow, but it's like a $1,100 fix, so it's been a fucking crazy week, man. I missed the last 3 days of training because of this shit, so I'm ready to get back into it. I've missed podcast episodes because of this shit, so I'm ready to get back into that too. So today I'm actually going to be traversing the Texas-New Mexico border. If you viewed my Memorial Day special of the podcast, I went to the Sierra Vista Trail, and so a little bit about the Sierra Vista Trail, just in case you haven't watched, or, you know, if you don't know or whatever. It is a trail that goes from Las Cruces, New Mexico to El Paso, Texas. A little bit of history and description about it. So it was built primarily for mountain bikers and equestrian, activities, which is just horseback riding. And I mentioned that I've always wanted to take the trail from Las Cruces to El Paso on horseback. It's around a 30-mile trail, so it's pretty fucking intense. But there's multiple points where you can access the trail. So if you want to start at the very, very beginning from the Las Cruces side, then you go up Dripping Springs and you find the trail that way. If you want to start a little bit, you know, have a little bit of an advantage or a little bit of a head start, you can go up to Soledad Canyon, or at least go on Soledad Canyon Road, and then you'll find the trail that way. There's a trailhead in the Mesquite area. There's a trailhead in the Vado area, and then the trailhead that we're doing today, or that I'm doing today, I guess, is going to be at the New Mexico Anthony Gap. So there's multiple points of, beginning this trail. It's also the western stretch of the Organ Mountains and the eastern stretch of the Franklin Mountains. So literally east meets west, or west meets east, or whatever, depending on how you're coming. But it's the Organ Mountains and Las Cruces meets the Franklin Mountains in El Paso. So it's cool that you can just kind of walk this little borderland here. And so stay tuned. We'll check out some plants at the Sierra Vista Trail at the Texas-New Mexico border. So the first thing we notice when we step on this trail is the dominant form of vegetation, besides being the creosote Lariia tridentata. You have a shitload of these agave lechugia, or the common name being lechugia. These are in the Agaveaceae family. They produce by having pups. So if you look at the structure here, you can see the biggest plant is most likely going to be the mother plant. So this one right here is most likely going to be the mother plant, and then there's multiple clones around it. I've mentioned this with the Agave neomexicana, or what is now known as the Agave perrii, subspecies or variety neomexicana. I guess it just depends on your nomenclature. But basically, they go through the semal-parous reproduction where they'll send up these flower stalks, which I'll actually show you right now. They're actually pretty cool. They're popping up everywhere. You can just see them. They're they kind of resemble the sotol a little bit, the Daisylarian wheelerii, desert spoon, or whatever that I have talked about before in the podcast, particularly on the Bar Canyon Trail. But the thing about the Daisylarian wheelerii compared to these particular plants, these agaves, are they'll flower multiple times. They won't just send up one flower stalk and then die, which the Agaveaceae will do. So as you can see here, there's a flower stalk from this particular agave right here. See that? And there's the dead plant. Okay, so again, what it'll do is it'll shoot up these flower stalks, which are actually really cool. So I'll take a look at some of them. But they'll shoot up these flower stalks, and they'll use all their carbon reservations and their carbohydrate reserves and all their sugars and stuff like that to send up these flower stalks, because they know they're going to die. But this is a way to sexually keep their line going, as opposed to the pups that they produce. Look, here's another one. It's pretty cool. You can see, as opposed to the pups that they produce, which is an asexual way to keep their line going. But the thing is with the asexual versus sexual, you might think of, well, what's the difference, and why is one better than the other, or whatever. When you have asexual reproduction, you have genetically identical clones of the mother plant. And so if that mother plant is resistant or, tolerant to a particular disease or weather condition or environmental factor or something like that, then its babies will also be just that good. When it comes to sexual reproduction, you're going to have a mixture of genetics from the mother and the father in the genome and the DNA and the coding of the plant in question. So it's good to have both. It's good to have some genetic diversity, but it's also good to have asexual clones for that particular reason of potential resistance against certain things. So I'm trying to block the wind out here, but I actually have the microphone to my mouth today instead of just clipped under the shirt, so I'm hoping I can still get some good shots with it, or whatever. But anyway, let's see if I can get this shit to work. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. That was Agave lechugia. There's a nice little, oh shit, it flew away. But Agave lechugia. So if I'm not mistaken, the agave, at least the agave neo-mexicana, and the agave americana, they're going to be pollinated by hummingbirds. I'm not sure if this is the same type of deal or not. I imagine it would be, because most are going to have, most species in the same genus are going to have, similar pollinators. But look, here's another one. It's really fucking cool. Kind of looks like a fireworks display on the 4th of July, and you can just see, once you notice one, you'll notice all of them. You see the stalks coming up. There's not a lot of sotol out here, but there's a lot of this lechugia, so you'll see all these stalks coming up, and then, like I said, once you notice one, you'll notice the other. These are they're very green compared to the agave perii or the agave neo-mexicana or the agave americana, because they're just it's just different. Like the other agaves, a lot of the other agaves are going to have this bluish green tinge to the color of the leaves itself. And a lot of times you're not going to find the agave americana out in these deserts because it's native to North America, but not native to the Chihuahua Desert, at least to my knowledge. I don't think it is. But yeah, so agave, it can spot a lizard, but I think if I go after it, it might run away. But agave lechugia, lechugia just being the common name, and in the Agaveaceae family, going through simulparis reproduction, they're very good for the hummingbirds and the bees and other primary pollinators, and the dominant form of vegetation on the Texas-New Mexico border. So right here, I ran across this species, and I definitely knew it was some type of aster. You can tell based off of the flower morphology. It has the disc flowers in the middle, that attract the pollinators and that have all the pollen. If I had like a better focusing camera, you'd be able to see all the little yellow spots in the middle are the anthers and the filaments holding the pollen. And then you have the ray flowers, which are the yellow petal-like flowers on the outside. And you could tell it was an Asteraceae family because of the ray and disc flowers. I wasn't entirely sure what it was, to be honest with you. So I did do some research. The good news is when you, if you know your families, and you know specific characteristics of those particular families, then a lot of times you don't even really need to know what you're looking at. You'd be able to take a systematic approach to figure out what you're looking at, because you're like, okay, it has ray flowers, it has disc flowers, the flowers are yellow, which is a primary attribute of the Asteraceae family. So you can take that approach, and then you can look, okay, well, what do the flowers look like? What do the leaves look like? What does the overall habit or the structure of the plant look like? So this is, after doing a little bit of research, I've come to the conclusion that this is most likely, I don't want to say with 100% certainty, because there are lookalikes and things like that, but from my research, I believe this is skeleton goldenrod, I believe it was called, a Viguera stenoloba. And the reason for that is because it has the flowers look exactly the same as that particular species. The leaves look exactly the same with the opposite arrangement on the alternate arrangement on the stem. They have these flowers born on these single stalks. Hopefully the mic doesn't cut out, but since I'm using two hands now. They have these flowers born on these single. Look, now you can see that's focused a little bit. You can see those little black things with the black with the yellow on top. Those are the stamens. The yellow on top is where the pollen is, and it protrudes out a little bit, so it's easier for the bees and the butterflies and other pollinators collect the nectar or the pollen. And these are very nectar-rich flowers, so insects will flock to them. Maybe not on a day like today where it's a little bit overcast, and obviously I'm around the plant too, so it's they might be a little intimidated, to come around, but they'll generally be all over these plants, and they're born on these single stalks that are leafless. So yeah, of course you see some leaves down here, but if you actually look to see where the stalk begins and kind of the branching ends, the leaves will end at the same area. So Viguera stenoloba, I'm going with that as this species identification. I will definitely correct myself if I'm wrong, or if anybody out there knows 100% what the species is, then go ahead and give a shout out in the comments. So here's another one that where'd the mic go? Sorry if I cut off a little bit, but here's another one that I was very unfamiliar with. It's pretty cool just to see, the difference in vegetation, even the dominant forms of vegetation. Like I said, the agave lechuguilla are prevalent out here, but they're not so much when you get deeper into the Oregon mountains, So it's kind of cool just to see a little bit of a change of vegetation. I get to learn a lot of shit by doing these podcasts, so even if I get no views or no likes or any of that shit, I don't really give a fuck, because I'm still learning a bunch of stuff on my own, which is super cool. So here's another one that I'm very unfamiliar with. I also want to just talk to you guys a little bit. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about systematic approach for identification, stuff like that through the process of elimination. But check that out, those little purple flower ones. So after doing a little bit of research, this is what's cool about field botany is you can try to identify shit, as you're in the field, which is pretty fun, if you're a nerd, I guess, I don't know, or just an enthusiast. You don't have to be a nerd, nerd has a negative connotation, but there's a bunch of cool motherfucking nerds out there, So anyways, this one I believe is Tiquila, like Tiquila Greggii. The reason I believe it is that is because there are lookalikes in the same genus around here, Canadensans, and different ones around here that look similar to this one, but the reason I say this one is Greggii is because it has, I mean, you can't really see it unless you look very, very, very close, maybe have a hand lens or something, or just, you know, you can see it with the naked eye too, you just have to know what you're looking for, but it has very woolly leaves, which I believe in the botanical world is called, fuck, I don't remember. There's pubescent, which is hairy, but then there's another word for woolly. I want to say tomentos, but I feel like that's wrong. Anyways, it has these little purple flowers, purplish pink flowers, which is cool, and then it also develops these plume-like seed heads, so they kind of resemble the Apache plume, Felucia paradoxa. Again, they have these very woolly leaves, a dense mat of woolly hair on the leaves to prevent things from or to prevent water loss, to prevent transpiration. And I stopped for a second because look, I just saw this little fucking guy. I believe this is I don't remember the genus, but it's horizontalis, I believe. Escobaria, is it Escobaria? The little eagle claw cactus or whatever. I don't remember, but look, check it out. There's another one over here. I'll have to do a cactus special. This shit's super cool, man. Like it's super cool when it blooms too. It has like these purple flowers. I wish I could remember the fucking genus, but I can't remember the genus for some reason right now. But anyway, I'll do a cactus special too. You know, there's all kinds of different approaches to different plants, and then also you know, talking about identifying different plants. But then also check this out. Here's a Cylindropuntia leptocalis. This is the Christmas cholla, so it'll have these little red berries that persist through the winter. That's why they call it Christmas cholla, because even in the dead of winter, it brings a splash of color to the desert, and it's just very, it's like pencil thick, so it's kind of cool. There's another little plant in the Asteraceae family. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but you can tell it's an aster just based off of the flower morphology. So again, even if you don't know exactly what you're looking at down to a species level, here's another one. You can tell at least what family it's in, or maybe even possibly what order it's in, based off of the different characteristics. Here's a little bit of what I believe to be coyote gourd. I keep losing the fucking microphone, so hopefully you can hear me. But anyway, coyote gourd in the Cucurbitaceae family. I don't remember the scientific name for it, possibly Cucurbita something, but anyway, you can note the squash-like flowers here. Boom, right there. You see that flower bud? See the flower bud forming right there too. So it's a plant in the cucurbit family, the Cucurbitaceae. It is a some people call it wild squash, or whatever. Kind of the problem with common names, but you know, at least if you can't remember the scientific name, like I can't remember the scientific name right now, you can go based off the common name. So usually people will call it coyote gourd or wild squash or whatever, and the thing about it is they say that it's edible, but only in dire circumstances. So unless you're like stranded in the desert about to die, I wouldn't suggest eating it at all. And then check this out. Here's some of this silverleaf nightshade, Solanum elaeagnifolium. These are the berries that it produces. I believe they're botanically berries because the ovules are enclosed in a, you know, in a seed, in an endocarp. But anyways, don't eat this shit, you know, because it's toxic. So here's a little baby one growing right there. There's another one growing right there. You know, they're starting to grow, but if you're ever in dire need, don't eat it. And like, here's another one of these skeleton golden rods or golden eyes or whatever I called it before. This is a pretty big one, and if I don't get too close, maybe you can see some insects, you know, hanging out there too. So finally got to see some flowers on the Apache plume. Check this out. Oh, and look, there's a little you can't see it, but anyway, Rosaceae family. It's got the 5-petal flowers. It's got the yellow stamens in the center of the flower, and then you have the plumes here, which are the seeds. So Fallujah paradoxa, I've talked about this species before, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I haven't shown you the flowers because I haven't been able to find the flowers. But it's in the Rosaceae family. You know, anything else that you want to know about it, I'll probably talk about in future videos, or you can go back and watch past videos to learn a little bit more about that particular species. There's another one too, Cevalia sinuata. I don't remember what family this is in, but anyways, it has these little leaves. I don't want to touch it because these little leaves right here, they're like spine tipped, and they have what's called formic acid in them. There are other plants that have formic acid in them, like stinging nettle and stuff like that. So if you ever have, if you have any experience with that particular plant, then you'll know that you don't really want to fuck with the formic acid. You know what I mean? It's not pleasant. But Cevalia sinuata, that is the oh look, and I just got some of it on me. But anyway, that's the I'm sorry if the camera keeps flipping. I gotta remember to lock this shit, so every time I like tweak my phone, it doesn't just go all landscape view or whatever. But anyways, this is stinging serpent is what they call it, is by the common name. So it's got these cool little flowers on it, but you know, don't fuck with it because of the formic acid on the leaves. So don't worry guys, I just locked the phone into one particular view, which is portrait view, because like goddamn going in and like switching up all the fucking, you know, chopping and editing and all that stuff with the video in different places when it turns to landscape view is just a huge pain in the ass. But anyways, just like the Fallujah paradoxa, here's another species where I haven't been able to show you the flower yet. This is Alaria tridentata. This is the creosote bush, the iconic plant of the Southwest. Pretty dominant, or dominant form of vegetation around here. As a matter of fact, I don't know what's more dominant, the lechuguillas right now in the borderlands, or the Alaria tridentata, the creosote bush. So it's kind of trippy. Hey guys, real quick, this is what I wanted to show you. This is Cylindropuntia leptocalis, Christmas cholla. Again, this is why they call it the Christmas cholla, because it has, I can't fucking see because of the glare, but I'm hoping you can. It has these little red fruits that persist into the winter. If you're going to forage them, be sure to burn off all the glockets first. You can singe them, you can scrape them off. It's such a waxy coating that it doesn't really matter if you burn them. I'd rather burn them to make sure that all the glockets are off, as opposed to taking the risk of getting some glockets in your mouth. So another one I wanted to show you real quick. We've looked at this plant before, particularly in the Picacho Peak Trail. This is Ocotillo, Focieria splendens, which is the staple, the trademark. You know, just like the saguaro is to the Sonoran Desert, which you'll hear me say a million times when I'm talking about this plant. This is the trademark of the Chihuahuan Desert. But like I was telling you about, it's drought deciduous, so it'll actually drop the leaves in times of extreme drought, and it has photosynthetic bark, so it can do without the leaves. And essentially the petiole is what turns into the spine. But check this out, the last one we looked at didn't have any leaves, so I just wanted to show you real quick. So you can parallel this with the Picacho Peak one. But if you see a plant that looks dead most of the year, gets a little bit of water, it'll shoot out some leaves for extra, you know, extra photosynthesis and, you know, shit like that. So Focieria splendens, Ocotillo, Fociariaceae, the only species of Focieria to occur north of Mexico into the United States. But I think there's like 12 species worldwide, but this is the only one that occurs in the United States. So pretty cool, pretty special, you know. So I talked about how, you know, the agave lechuguilla is the dominant form of vegetation out here, but it sends up these flower spikes that kind of look like the sotol, okay? But if you're confused, you know, from far away, the untrained eye might look similar. You know, the sotol and the agave lechuguilla might look similar, but when you get up to a closer look, and this is why I decided to record this, because it's a nice little comparison view right here, but you have the Daisylarian wheeleria here, which is the desert sotol, desert spoon, you know, Daisylirion wheelerii and the Asparagaceae family. And then down here is where you have the Agave lechugia, which is in the Agavaceae family. So you can just see the differences in the two. One of them obviously grows higher than the other, which is the Daisylirion, grows taller. It's got these twisted leaves. They taper at the end. Well, I guess both of them taper at the end, really. But these are more stiff-spined, or stiff leaves, and these are more bendable. They're both kind of leathery, you know. But the Daisylirion wheelerii has more serrated and more serrations, I guess, on the edges than the agave does. Yeah, they both grow from a central point because they're both monocots. So there are some similarities, but there's another world of differences out there too. So again, you have to use a systematic approach and a little bit of good old-fashioned common sense to determine which one is which, really. And the Daisylirion also is not going to send up any pups, at least that I'm aware of. I don't think it sends up pups like the agaves do, because again, it's not relying on that to keep its lineage going. It's relying on flowers because it doesn't just die after one flowering episode. But anyway, Daisylirion wheelerii, Asparagaceae, and then Agave lechugia, Agavaceae. So check it out, guys. We made fucking microphone. Sorry. Check it out, guys. We made it. Welcome to Texas. Entering Franklin Mountain State Park. So right here, literally, is the border of Texas and New Mexico. So now, you boys in 2 states at once, motherfucker. So over here, you have the beginning of the Franklin Mountains, which I believe is the east side of the Franklin Mountains. And then over here, you have the western stretch of the Oregons. Isn't that fucking cool? You can literally, you can tell all your friends, you know, if you ever take this trail, like, yeah, I fucking walked from New Mexico to Texas. And they'll be like, what the fuck? And you'll be like, yeah, dude, it's super cool. And you could, you know, if you're kind of a dick, you can embellish a little bit and make it seem like it's a lot more fucking crazy than it is. It's really not that bad, especially if you start from where I started at the Anthony Gap of the Sierra Vista Trailhead. But we're gonna walk a little further, see what other species we can find, and then like I said, I've taken the last 3 days off from MMA training, so I gotta go back soon and get ready for that, because I'm just man, I'm fucking hungry. I'm ready to get back into that shit. 3 days is kind of a lot for intense training like MMA. So anyways, we're gonna see if we can find any different species on this side of the Texas border, but if not, this might be the end of the video, so you know, stay tuned. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I went to the other side of the Texas border to look for you know, any differentiation in plant species from the New Mexico side. But I mean, there's really not going to be that much of a difference when you're just walking a few feet, you know, 10s to 20s of feet, I guess, or whatever. There's not going to be that much of a huge difference until you dive a little deeper into the Franklin Mountains, to like the heart of the Franklin Mountains. We're literally just on the border right now. So, but anyways, it was a good hike, and you know, I assume at one point, I mean, I could be wrong, but the Hiking with Effie podcast, I don't want to go too much into the history and stuff like that of the Sierra Vista Trail, because that's kind of what the homie Lauren will be covering if she ever does this podcast or the Sierra Vista Trail at the particular point that I'm doing it, or even if she doesn't, you know, there's still history of the Sierra Vista Trail that she could talk about or whatever, but not putting anything on her shoulders. Maybe she's not going to do it at all. I don't fucking know. But anyways, if she does, then she'll give you a little bit more, most likely, of like the history and a little bit more of like in-depth of the trail itself, and I'll cover the plant side of it, you know, for the most part, and the wildlife if I can, which is something I'm trying to get better at identifying, is different types of birds and reptiles and, you know, lizards and snakes and all kinds of shit that you'll find out here. But anyway, that's gonna be it for today, guys. You know, I am hoping to have one of the homies is supposed to come on the next episode. This is going to be my second guest of all the episodes that I've done, but she works in the same research lab as me. She's a plant pathologist with a master's degree in biology, I believe. But anyway, she'll talk a little bit more about that. But she's doing some cool shit with hemp and chili meal and some volatility studies, looking at fighting off particular chili pathogens, particularly Phytophthora. But maybe she's doing some Rhizoctonia work and Fusarium and Verticillium and shit like that, which I'm pretty sure she is. But anyway, I'm hoping to have her on the podcast next. I'm hoping to have one guest a week, which will be kind of cool. Another one of my friends is going to come in. He's not a scientist or anything, but he's an endurance athlete, top in the United States. He does all the Spartan races and shit. So it's going to be cool to have him on and hear his story and shit too. I worked with him 7 years ago doing landscaping, but he's come a long way as well. So trying to get more people on the podcast, man. I'm just trying to reach out, and if anyone's interested in coming on, then let me know. There's space for everybody. You know what I mean? I'm going to buy a couple microphones and get shit set up. And there's space for people to come and share their story, promote their small business, or anything that they're working on the side hustle, the Etsy shit, whatever. Let me know, guys. It's not just a science podcast, you know what I mean? The majority of it is because that's just my background in education and personal work experience and shit like that, and I just love the field botany side of things and just the biological life sciences. Like I love that shit personally. But if you're a guest on the podcast, you don't have to talk about science, man. Like we might touch on a couple things, but it's gonna be my expertise and your expertise on your particular subject. So let me know. I want people to share their stories, man. I want people to inspire others to do the same shit, to work hard, to do the shit that they're doing, to see that, like, shit, maybe it's not too late to follow your dreams, and it never is, really. I know people doing their PhDs at 90 years old, like, fuck it, dude. Like, if you got a passion, follow that shit. And if not, then you're just wasting your time, and you're really just wasting your life, and you're not going to ever be satisfied or, fully fulfilled. So, I guess that's my little sermon or what the fuck ever for the day. But, yeah, guys, keep an eye out for the next episode, which again is going to be podcast interview format, like it was with Lauren, talking to another scientist working in the same field as me. So it should be really interesting and really cool, guys. All right, so again, shout me out if you want to be on the podcast. I will hook you up with your beverage of choice, whether it be alcoholic or not, or doesn't even have to be a beverage. I'll hook you up with whatever. I don't fucking know. I want people on, so I'll try to entice them as much as I can, or bribe them, I guess. I don't fucking know. All right, anyways, guys, Sleeping Bee Podcast. I'm out, but remember to like and subscribe, and share this shit, and tell your friends, and tell your friends' friends, and tell your friends to tell their friends' friends, okay? Peace.